Hi everyone, my name's Kristian Steenstrup. I've been a BMW Club member for I think 14 years now. Gary asked me to put together a short presentation on my trip to Bathurst for the Bathurst Challenge recently. I would like to have been there in person, but I live at the Sunshine Coast, so it's a bit difficult to get down there. I have done numerous track days with the BMW Club, learned a lot, and it's actually why I joined the club, to learn to drive better and do these track days. And over the time, we managed to do a few other events, things like the Mount Cootha hill climb, the Noosa hill climb, numerous times around Lakeside, Queensland Raceway. And when I've been travelling for work, I've been lucky enough to go and do some interesting drives like Formula 3000 at Abu Dhabi. I drove Ice Challenge Minis up in Sweden. And for my 50th birthday, I drove a Formula 1 car at Monza. But there was one thing missing, and that was to drive at Bathurst, which was a long-held ambition of mine, unfulfilled. Now, the invitation came from the BMW Drivers Club of Melbourne, and they sent a limited number of invitations to us in Queensland. I leapt on the chance because I'd been thinking about it for years. I had one small problem: I'd sold my car. The good news is I'd sold my car to my son, so my trusty BMW 130, which has since been replaced by an excellent BMW 140, was pressed back into service before its taillight slowly disappeared into the distance. You'll notice an enormous amount of blue tape on the front of the 140. Somebody told me that if you covered it in builder's tape, you won't get stone chips. I didn't get stone chips, so maybe it works. So got the invitation, accepted it, got my car loaned back to me from my son. And then comes the next challenge of preparation. The BMW Challenge is run to a much more formal state than some of our track days. It's run under full Motorsport Australia rules, so I had to buy some extra clothing like gloves and balaclava, ensure the car was in tip-top condition, new tyres, etc. So there was a little bit of car prep. I put through full service, all the fluids were replaced to make sure that everything was in order for the trip. And then comes the big day being the check-in. I was actually more nervous about the check-in than track day because I knew that it was very formal. I knew there was a lot of checks and paperwork, so we wanted to make sure that was done correctly. So the car gets prepped up, stickered up, race tyres on, finally get to see the track, amazing track. The facilities are world-class, as we know. The queues for check-in weren't too bad. The paperwork was all in order. I felt like handing in my homework and assignment and getting a 10 out of 10. The scrutineering was done pretty efficiently. The photo that you see is a long conga line of cars, but that was after I did mine, and we got down there was only 3 cars in the queue, so we're pretty lucky. Then comes the Saturday. The Saturday is the big day when we're going to go out on the track. So full of optimism and pleased with myself, we grid up in a dummy grid out on the track. And you can see some of the aerial photos my son took from the drone. Just an amazing experience to finally get out on that track. Except 2 minutes into the activity, I start seeing blue smoke coming out the back and roll into the pits. Really deflated. I thought on the first lap I'd blown up the engine. And what had happened was some idiot, that'd be me, didn't put the oil cap on properly. So I had oil spewing everywhere, burning off on the exhaust. No fire, no oil on the track. Really lucky escape. And also lucky that I had my trusty son/mechanic with me, but also my daughter's partner, who happens to be a BMW trained mechanic. And I felt like international race star. I got out of the car before I had my helmet on. Those guys had started taking things apart, cleaning it off, re-prepping the car, making sure it was all good order. It was an impressive pit stop from those guys. I have to thank them for that. And then back on the track, and then it started to come together. It really started to make sense. The drive was amazing, super experience to get out there and feel my way around. And it actually felt pretty natural. Then we started to feel like things were really coming together. It felt natural filing out of the pits, getting in the line with a lot of excellent BMWs from all the clubs that were there. BMW from Melbourne, South Australia, New South Wales, all BMW comrades. There were other cars there, but of course we only have eyes for the BMWs. And just rolling through the pit lane is an awesome experience. And as you can see, the wide open spaces of Conrod can be intimidating. But I'll tell you, that BMW 130 is done over 200,000 kilometres. It's, I think, 16, 17 years old now, and it was rock steady at 220 kilometres an hour going through the chase. It's just an excellent car. Faultless once I got my oil cap sorted out. So tremendous experience getting out on the track, starting to get lap times. It was supposed to be a regularity. I have to tell you, I nominated a time of 3 minutes 15. First time I got a clear track, I blew that away and went to 3:05. So the regularity points were out the window, but the experience was getting pretty good. More of that on the second day, getting faster. I got down to a 3 minute 1 second, which I was very pleased with in a fully kitted road car. It's got a full interior. I had the air conditioning on, frankly. Just really enjoying a Sunday drive. The track is billiard table smooth, and I'd seen it so much since I started watching it in 1972 that I felt like I'd memorized the track. But eventually, it's got to come to an end. So great lap times and really fast, smooth experience. A little bit of traffic, but nothing too traumatic. Just had to respect other drivers and be wary of people. But eventually you get this sad thing where you're packing up, changing the wheels back to the road wheels, one last photo shoot in the pit lane at Bathurst for the 130, and then the 130 and the 140 go out in combo out the back of the pits. Ironically, just as we were leaving, the heavens opened, started pouring down rain just after the event finished. I'd hate to think what would happen if we were there when it rained. But the whole thing was a massively good experience. I turned 60 this year, and that was the dovetail or the bookend to having driven a Formula One car at 50, driving a BMW, my BMW at Bathurst when I was 60 was just a great experience. The track was fantastic. The camaraderie and the people who were hosting us were great. The BMW Drivers Club of Melbourne couldn't have been friendlier and more supportive. And my impromptu pit crew looked after me tremendously. So a bit of rain on the end of it, a nice dinner, and then the long drive home. No events to report, and back home safely. The car was just amazing. Super impressed with the 130. And then, of course, the 140, what a luxury touring car that is. I certainly would prefer to be on the 140, but made myself drive the 130 on the way down to make sure I learned and relearned how to do it. Great experience if you get a chance to do it. All of this comes from the experience of being in the BMW Club, helping me learn how to be a better driver, giving me the opportunities to pretend to be a racing driver every few weekends a year, and the support camaraderie of the other BMW clubs. It all comes together when you can do a life event like this, and it really was an important thing for me. Thanks all for listening. I hope it was interesting. I hope it inspires you, and thanks, Gary, for giving me the opportunity.